Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode, I think this is 25 or 26 of the Match Show. And today we are joined by the one and only Humanity First Movement Interim Board. They have, I think, around 12 board members. And today we are kind enough to be joined by Yenny, Angelo, and Elaine. And Yenny, Angelo, and Elaine, for those who have never heard of Humanity First Movement before, when did Humanity First Movement start? Like, what is it, and what is your goal as a movement?
So Humanity First Movement got started at the beginning of March, right around when Humanity Forward got started. We're a group that kind of formed out of the Yang Gang leadership from during the campaign. We had 11 board members, but we're at 7 now. So we have Catherine, Massey, Nicholas, and Paige, who are not here with us right now. And our mission is to further the policies of Andrew Yang's policy platform from during the campaign. I think Elaine might be able to speak better than I can about it.
No, you're fine. So yeah, definitely the platform, the policies. So we are promoting policies and not the person, meaning that we're trying to grow the movement beyond the general election and try to look forward into sort of promoting Humanity First / pro-UBI candidates, right? Both locally and statewide and sort of federally, and also to make sure that we continue to sort of build partnerships and relationships with other grassroots orgs that also are similarly aligned. So one of our biggest partners is actually Income Movement, who've been really, really amazing, and we'll probably tease the future joint action that we'll have with them in September, which is Basic Income March. But yeah, so like what Yenny said, is that the Humanity First Movement is the basically national Yang Gang iteration of, moving all the policies and candidates that stemmed from the previous Yang 2020 campaign.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that it's almost like a medium, I'd say, to connect and organize like the grassroots Yang Gang with what's going on at, say, like all the way up to organizations like Humanity Forward and supporting what Andrew Yang and his team is doing?
So I would have to say we're completely made up of grassroots. Everyone here is an unpaid volunteer from our respective states, Massachusetts, Arizona. I'm from California, state leadership. We are working alongside Humanity Forward. Humanity Forward is very specifically focused on Andrew Yang's directives. So we do align with a lot of them, but of course with Humanity First Movement, we also retain a lot of autonomy because our primary focus is to sort of like strengthen each state. That's kind of the most important thing for us, is to strengthen each state, reactivate everyone, especially in times of pandemic, right? And the protest and financial insecurity, food insecurity, stuff like that. So we're trying to really like work grassroots within each state, getting people to realize that we are still around, and we'll have a what's it called, August 15th, National Humanity First Day, hopefully in the works, to reactivate and re-energize people to be like, Humanity First core values are still here. We want everyone to see how they can sort of like build, uplift, and sort of brighten up their communities, not just because all these, sort of unforeseen kind of like negative things that are happening, but also the positives in our communities.
Mm-hmm. And then, so the way that I'm kind of understanding it is, you at the top, you have this board, and your goal is to activate different chapters across the country at different state levels, and really try to activate and bring out the local Yang Gang and do more of the stuff like you just said, the Humanity First days. And I remember we had one back in the fall, like
yes,
it was in November, and it was, if I recall, super successful. But then unfortunately, we never did another one. So it sounds like the Humanity First movement, it really is it's a national organization built on trying to focus on what we can do at just our community level to try to bring about a lot of the change that we do want to see at a national level.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When it what are like I guess when it comes to strengthening your coordination between the national Yang Gang and the states, how does that process work? Like, if someone's watching and they're out in one of these states and they're saying, okay, I like this idea. I'd want to start some local kind of Yang Gang chapter organization. How would they be able to connect with what you're doing up at the national level and try to get started and working on some sort of partnership?
So we have
Can I jump in there?
on our website,
Okay.
we have
Anybody.
yeah,
Yes.
we've got hfmovement.org. Down towards the bottom of the page, there's a find your chapter. If your chapter has a website, your state will highlight and it'll send you to their website. So right now, I believe we have Arizona, Texas, Iowa, and a couple of others. I don't remember exactly which states. And then the other ones will send you to our contact form. And when you sign up on the contact form, we're going to be sending you a welcome email, which will tell you how to do the basics of getting involved, how to get on our Slack, what candidates to you can check out. There's a link to those. So we're really hoping to get folks involved that way. So you can either just fill out the form or you can click on the chapters thing. And to get directly involved, Matt's scrolling past it, but there's 4 different options on the tab up. Up, there you go. There's join the movement, which will get you into onboarding on our Slack. There's candidate support, which will go over all of the different candidates that we're supporting. We've got 4 still left going into their primaries. And we've got, so it's Donna Imam, Jen Perlman, no, sorry, not Donna, Marilyn Strickland, Jen Perlman, Robbie Goldstein, and Alex Morse. And the latter 2 are in Massachusetts, Jen's in Florida, and Marilyn's in Washington.
And those are all candidates that have been endorsed by Andrew Yang and Humanity Forward, correct?
Correct. Yep. The whole list is.
So like if I think this is one of the things, like people they want to do what will help the movement and get the policies, UBI, democracy dollars, climate change, all that. We want to get all that passed. We want to try to put Andrew in a position where he can get those policies passed, but they don't really know where to start. And the thing, maybe I could volunteer for one of these congressional candidates that Andrew's passionate about and that Andrew supports, and they support the same policies and same goals that Andrew has, but they don't know where to start. This is basically a medium for them to get started, and you would go on your Slack where there's a whole community and support group where you can work with people and get help getting started and getting set up. And I assume you guys also do like phone banking efforts for the candidates and stuff like that.
Yep. So we do that in partnership with Humanity Forward. We have they have their HFRR Slack, and we've got the HFM Slack, which is the same one from during Yang 2020. So we organize and plan out different phone banking events. We're doing a phone banking with Andrew Yang tomorrow for Marilyn Strickland tomorrow morning. And then we've got one on, is it Monday or Tuesday night for Jen Perlman? I think it might be Tuesday. And so we're going to be having and helping host a number of those for other candidates as well in the near future.
Yeah, I want to talk real quick, Angelo, and then I'll let you jump in. I want to touch on all the different things that you guys are working on, but I definitely want to hammer down on this candidate support section, because I really do think it's maybe the most important element of what we can really do at a grassroots level. Sorry, Angelo, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, for those that may be watching that may not know what the acronym stand for, HFRR is Humanity Forward Rapid Response.
Interesting. So I actually had the same question earlier because some group chat or something I was in, someone was actually talking about working with HFRR. What is HFRR like? What is the rapid response? Are they part of Humanity Forward or part of your team?
They are part of Humanity Forward. Some of us are in there helping out. HFRR, for example, handles like volunteering for the Humanity Hangs, doing things that require rapid response, like text banking, phone banking, those types of things.
COVID relief calling, yeah.
COVID relief calling. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the difference between HFM, which is Humanity First Movement, and the Humanity Forward Rapid Response is Humanity Forward Rapid Response Slack is mostly focused on really quick actions taken on for candidate support and also to support Andrew Yang's directives. HFM is mostly like we do volunteer and candidate support too. We do focus on local candidates as well, but it's mostly the building and the coordination of states and also partnerships and grassroots coalition building. And something you mentioned earlier about Andrew and what he's focused on, it's funny because we meet with Humanity Forward every week, actually on Monday, with the Interim board and HF every week. And we just met with him, and basically he said that if we could possibly get the Yang Gang focused on getting at least 3 Yang Gang friendly or Yang Gang / pro UBI candidates elected into Congress, he would call that a win. And he basically said that that he feels like if we were to focus on getting a lot of local candidates sort of elected, that we could possibly catch up to the Justice Democrats in this cycle. So he's really looking forward to sort of focusing kind of on policies and also the candidates getting candidates in Congress.
Absolutely. And for people who have never been on Slack before, because that is, I understand, where a lot of your heavy lifting, and it's pretty much an online office for all of your different operations. But at the same time, personally, I'm on Slack and I can't stand Slack. How do you get past that Slack, whatever word you want to use? Just nobody likes Slack.
It's definitely a lot to take on. It's not a super easy platform to use right off the bat if you're not used to that kind of chat platform. It is similar to Discord, except you can do threading. So you can have a post and then comments go underneath it instead of it all being in one channel. And it's kind of a beefed up version in that regard. But we do also have a Discord. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We've got a Facebook group. The Yang 2020 Basecamp group is now back up. Move Humanity Forward Basecamp. So there's a lot of different places that people can get involved, even if they can't handle getting on Slack.
Sorry, go ahead, Elaine.
I was going to say, just for context, personally, I'm heavily in the California leadership, and I was the same way, Matt. I was like, oh my God, the national Slack. But I would have to say that for me, I've gotten more into it because of context and relevance, right? Because if I'm more involved in these channels, whether at state outreach or doing things like Basic Income March, or if these channels actually speak to something I'm doing, it becomes easier to be there. I guess I would have to say that.
Yeah, I do find that the more people that are involved on the Slack, the more you actually look forward to checking it every day, seeing what is everybody working on today. Angelo, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. So when people join the Slack for the first time, often they're sent to an onboarding channel, and then we also have battle buddies on there. Those are people that are established in Slack. They know what all the channels do and everything. And they can actually help them find the channels that they're looking for with their area of interest.
Yeah. We have a question from Sean. He wants to know: do you guys help with financial support for candidates? Is it all just volunteer-based support?
At this current moment, it's all volunteer-based support, but we are looking to become a legal entity in the future where we can actually offer financial support. It's just at this current moment, we're not at that stage.
Okay. What are some of, I guess, the initiatives that you've taken part in lately? Not even just lately, ever since the campaign did suspend and you guys got started back in March. What are some of the major initiatives that Humanity First Movement has been involved in, but people might not even know about it? Because so much of this work goes on behind the scenes. You guys, like you just said, it's all volunteer based. And from what I understand, talking to you, Yenny, it's 30 hours of meetings a week, So.
Well, that's just for the board. That's just how crazy I am, because I go to every single working group.
Yeah, if not everybody, if you're watching this, you're I have to work 30 hours. No, that's just for these. That's just for these.
That's just I'm crazy. They don't even do that.
No, those of us that signed up for the board, we're just nuts. We signed up.
Yeah, these are the core. These are the people that work behind the scenes to keep the Yang Gang going.
Yeah.
But
so our early initiatives were mostly candidate based. So Jermaine Johnson, we did a lot of volunteering for him. He got 80% of his race. We've done a lot since then with a number of other candidates, mostly working with ones that are Humanity Forward endorsed. We did volunteering for Donna Imam, and she just won her runoff for her primary in Texas, and she's going to the general. She's doing some big fundraising pushes right now. And we've also done a lot at the state level. So a lot of our states are taking on very large initiatives. So speaking from Massachusetts, we have ranked choice voting on the ballot. But to get it on the ballot, there had to be enough like people who've signed that they wanted on the ballot from different counties. So the Yang Gang and Humanity First Collective, Humanity First Movement, not sure what we're calling ourselves at this point, in Massachusetts managed to get enough phone calls out within the last 5 days of the signature need to get it over that hump in some of the other counties. So there's a lot of direct action happening.
Also, one quick thing too, Humanity First Movement especially, I think that was really sort of like reaction to basically like a lot of the lockdowns in a lot of the states, and also trying to take the pulse of the Yang Gang. We did have Humanity First Movement Hangs, which is also now Humanity Hangs in general, started by Kimberly Woods. So she basically wanted to make sure that everyone was staying connected, right? Staying connected, talking to each other, making sure we're all okay, kind of helping each other out. I mean, beyond the campaign, right? Because a lot of people who are in the Yang Gang who've met each other all over, states, canvassing, local leaders, we all kind of basically felt a little lost, right? After February, especially since so many things happened at once. So I want to say that was a pretty big initiative that I think helped to get people a little bit more clued in. The Humanity First Movement Hangs, and now Humanity Hangs.
Absolutely. And what are besides you mentioned doing the Humanity First Day on August 15th, National Humanity First Day, what are some of your other upcoming projects that aren't just that are geared more towards what you just talked about, Elaine, which is just keeping the community engaged and connected and united?
So we actually do movie nights every Friday night. Tonight we're watching Good Trouble.
Interesting.
So that's at 10 o'clock tonight, and the information's on our Twitter. HF
and
Movement.
Good Trouble is related to John Lewis, actually.
Yep.
And he just passed. So, but yeah, Humanity First Movement movies, but also really it's kind of trying to get the states to come in too. You know what I mean? Because of course, we've had leaders who have dropped off because they've suffered their own personal tragedies or financial insecurities. A lot of us were unemployed volunteers for the Young 2020, so they basically have refocused on other things. A lot of the other movements have also absorbed them too. So I would say that we're holding monthly state summits to try to get a lot of states reactivated. So we would encourage a lot of people to come on in, whether it's through Twitter or Facebook or Reddit or anything else. We have a YouTube, actually, Humanity First Movement, if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing. But it's kind of we're a little bit focused on trying to get the leadership to come back as well, because they have email lists, right? And they would be the strongest people to kind of reach out to their own communities, meaning that is something I think California is really focused on right now, which is how do we reconnect and sort of rebuild? I mean, even because we like each other, just be hey, how are you doing? I remember that you were doing these things with us. How are you now? You know what I mean? Just kind of making sure everyone's okay, because I feel that's kind of the key.
And well, I mean, it's in the name. It's Humanity First Movement, and that's what Humanity First is all about. So you mentioned your YouTube channel. One thing that I've seen on there is you've been doing these kind of weekly, I guess, every Sunday night, I think, meeting with one of the candidates that Humanity Forward has endorsed. I think you recently had David Kim on.
Oh yes, I kind of.
We had David Kim on 2 weeks ago. We had Robbie Goldstein this week, and we're gonna have Marilyn Strickland on on Sunday. So they get about 10 minutes, take audience questions, and we also stream it live on YouTube. So if you've got questions and don't want to hop on the Zoom, we take questions from YouTube as well.
Awesome, because that's a great way just for people to get like there to really it's like a town hall. Like if you're part of the Yang Gang and you want to know why did Andrew Yang endorse this guy, what's he about, like it's a good opportunity to hop on these calls and get your questions answered. I think another thing that you guys have been working on, and this I think is more geared towards Angelo because it's his probably pet project a bit, is Testify for UBI. And I remember when you were telling me about this a few weeks ago, Angelo, and you explained it to me, I thought it was incredible because you laid out this plan where it's you basically, for those who don't know, Humanity First Movement and Angelo, and I think you're working with Hannah Wan on this as well, is they reached out to Tim Ryan's office and got invited, I believe, to come testify before Congress, like submit virtual testimony where you would have the final number hasn't been agreed upon, but I believe it would be around like you'd have 30 everyday regular people from all different races, backgrounds, political parties. You're going to have Democrats, Republicans, disengaged, everybody, and just give 10-minute testimony about why UBI would help you in, or emergency cash pay. Is it emergency cash payments would help you in
emergency UBI, basically.
Yeah, emergency UBI get through this pandemic. And then after that, you would have your experts to follow up the personal testimony with all the facts and figures. So that this would be like your Scott Santonses of the world coming in. And then lastly, you'd have Andrew Yang put the icing on the cake, give one of his amazing speeches and kind of wrap it all up. And when that was laid out to me, I was like, this is amazing. So how do people get involved with that? How do they, like, if they would want to submit their virtual testimony, like, where would they even start? Because that is kind of like an intimidating thing to try to talk for 10 minutes.
Well, it's not just a virtual testimony. Their videos that they are submitting are basically to give us a feel for where they're at public speaking wise. The actual testimony we're applying for will be done virtually through a medium like Zoom or another medium of that nature, because we do have members that are disabled. We have members that are immune compromised and other things like that, so we wouldn't want to put their health at risk. But if for anyone looking to get involved or for more information on this, I would say go to our website, testifyforubi.com. You can find all the information on the front page. Any new information that we get on the project, we update immediately to the website. But I would love to talk more about this with you, Matt, when we have a chance to have Hannah on, so we can really deep dive into this, because this is just basically like surface level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can. We'll definitely. That's definitely like a whole nother conversation, because it really is just such like a crazy, plan. But and I do want to. I do want to touch into like.
We also have in terms of other events that we've done and are doing. On July 11th, we partnered with Movement for a People's Party to take part in their people's stimulus demands. And we're doing that again tomorrow. And you can check that out at peoplestimulus.com. We're going to the doors of our senators and letting them know that we are demanding these 6 things, which includes Medicare for all for during the COVID pandemic, as well as a basic income during the pandemic. And these demands are all tied to bills that are already in Congress. So there's nothing that they need to do to really build up these portions of what we want to have included in the stimulus. And we're days away from them potentially starting to put information out about what's going to be in it. So we really have a very short window to influence it. So the People's Stimulus protest, essentially, that's happening tomorrow, there's ones happening all over the country. So, and if you don't have one near you, it's not too late to sign up to have one.
Yeah, so please get in touch with your local chapters and remember to social distance and wear your mask.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean,
you
it's
mentioned, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to clarify that a lot of the actions, sometimes they are protests, but subjective to the local organizers. They can also be, as we said, an opportunity for the elected official to come out and talk to the people and sort of engage. So it's not always protests, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to make that a clarity. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Here in Massachusetts, McGovern actually joined us at a town hall rally. We had about 100 people there in one of the parks here in Worcester. So it's
Is
definitely
McGovern
something
your
that.
Congress?
Yeah, McGovern is our representative.
Okay. Awesome. You mentioned Angelo, or it might have been Angelo. I think it was also Elaine, maybe like 5 minutes ago, talking about getting involved with your local chapters and trying to reactivate that. And I know that you have some of the states like California, Texas, Iowa. I think your Arizona chapter is very successful. But there are states where there isn't a chapter, but we definitely need a chapter. And I can just name like South Carolina would be a big one, since that's in a very just important state politically. Like if someone was watching this and they have been thinking to themselves for the past 3 months, I really want to do something that gets me feeling like I'm like, I guess, being part of something bigger than myself, get that feeling back that maybe they had during the Yang 2020 campaign. And they've decided, you know what? I want to build out my own local chapter, my own little state organization for pursuing these goals, could be part of Humanity First movement. How would that person be able to get in touch with you all?
So the best bet is whatever medium you are more regularly on, be that Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. Reddit is a little harder because you just post to the feed, but we're on Facebook and Twitter, so it's pretty easy to reach out to us there. And then we've also through our website, there's the Join Us, and we'll be reaching out to everyone who signs up through there for information. And it also gives more information on how to get started and how to get looped in on the national end. And then every person who signs up on there, if there is an active group in their state, whether they have a website or not, we put them in touch with the active people in that state. If there is not an active group, but there are other people who have signed up, we put them in touch with each other so that they can start building a relationship to start building a chapter. So right now what's happening in New Hampshire, we've got Sam Hayden, who worked on the campaign, and we've got Colleen, who's working on our comms team, handling our social media. And the two of them both are in New Hampshire, and they're, for the most part, the only two that were like super active at the national level recently. And they're kicking things into gear now because they've got a candidate to support that Humanity Forward endorsed for the New Hampshire State House. So taking a look at which candidates are coming up through mostly in November, but there's also some happening in August and September. So if your states are attached, have a candidate, that's a great way to get involved if there isn't like an active chapter yet. And then we also have, my brain just stalled.
That happens. It's all right.
Yeah, we also have the hangs that are happening in different regions. So if you're not really sure what you want to do, if you want to get involved in organizing that, and if you don't feel like organizing is the level that you can commit, we still have the hangs in each of the regions every so often, and we have a calendar for that. They'll be up on our Facebook page as events. So we're going to be doing a little bit more to keep up with getting the events up on Facebook, and that's a great way to check out those.
Yeah. I know, Elaine, you want to jump in real quick. I just want to get out this thought before I forget.
Sure.
It seems like even if because it really is like it can be kind of a intimidating thing to, especially for, I feel like Yang Gang, who kind of tends to skew like more introverted and like to get involved in these things. But it does sound like there's just a lot of great things where even if you don't want to go like dip your feet all the way in, just like a opportunity just to connect with like-minded individuals, like through the hangs and through the movie nights. But also I think that you guys are also just looking like if someone is just they're never going to phone bank. Not happening. I don't like talking to people on the phone, but I'm really good at graphic design or I have coding skills or I'm good at social media. There's still like plenty of other ways to help. Like you guys could use help like on building out websites and like you know more than I do.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different groups. We've got some groups that are handling our social media. We've got Diversity and Inclusion, who just launched HFM Cares, which I think Elaine might be able to speak better to, possibly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then we've also got the Sunday meeting, which is more like just keeping in touch and seeing what's going on and if there's something you want to get involved with. We definitely need help on our comms team, even if it's just people that are keeping an eye on things, retweeting or being a mod on Facebook in our Facebook groups. You don't have to be involved on Slack to do those things. So there's definitely ways to get involved and really help the movement without necessarily getting too deeply diving into the deep end of a diving pool.
That's awesome. I think the message here from Yenny is there's no matter what your level of interest is, there's probably something for you. I want to jump to Yenny real quick because I know you had a point to make. Or did I say Yenny? I meant to say Elaine.
Elaine.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Matt. So I was gonna basically say, like, if I was brand new, right, just search Humanity First Movement, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, and like also on hfmovement.org, right? But feel free to reach out to me too. My handle on most things is at Elaine, ELAINE, J as in Jenny, WEY. I'm pretty much open to helping connect people with where they need to go, because I know that can be kind of intimidating. I may not seem like it, but I'm also introverted. But I would have to say that, like, feel free to ask for help. Just like anyone who's leading anything, just be like, hey, I would like to help. Just shoot them a quick DM. People don't mind answering DMs, usually if it's for that specific purpose. But feel free to reach out to me. I'm perfectly okay with it. So I know there's Humanity Forward and Humanity First Movement Texas, like other things, like kind of like look for your states or your cities. And if anything else, like just reach out to me and I'll try to do what I can to help.
Awesome. This question, I'm not sure if it necessarily applies to you guys, but maybe you know the answer. Does the Humanity First Rapid Response Team and Humanity First Movement, would they like support Republicans who support UBI?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
we actually put some support behind Dan, I'm blanking on his last name, in Montana. Joshua Frick was kind of heading that up and pushing people to volunteer for him, and he's a Republican, and so we don't at HFM we don't have any issues with both sides.
Not left, not right.
Yeah, it's part of our core values. So I mean, like, we need to make sure that we're keeping in contact with everyone who's aligned. You know, and UBI is a growing conversation and dialogue. You know, especially since we keep having these recurring stimulus bills and talks about direct payments, right? So even like the Republican Party is starting to talk about whether or not they can do anything to meet people's needs. So we're not going to discount it regardless of party affiliation.
So I see a question on here. How do you get in on Facebook? Just search Humanity First Movement on Facebook, and it should give you both the Facebook group and the page. Like the page, join the group, and post in there with whatever you'd like to. We try and keep it a Humanity First space, but any questions you have, we're happy to answer them there as well.
Absolutely. And if anybody has questions right now as you're watching, feel free to just throw them in the chat. Another organization, I know you guys have mentioned it in the beginning, that you've been working with is Income Movement. And the big thing that Income Movement's involved with every year is the UBI March. What's the plans for the UBI March this year? Especially like with COVID and everything?
Okay.
We're looking at a possible car parade for the UBI March, just simply because it offers more protection for COVID and social distancing while still being able to go out and safely conduct a march of that nature. Interestingly enough, since you mentioned Testify for UBI earlier, we're actually trying to time it to happen on the same day as the UBI March.
That would be something.
So just a little bit more information is you can go to basicincome.march.org if I'm not mistaken. I know there's going to be 3 flagship cities that that income movement is going to be trying to hold. I think that at least one of them is Los Angeles, the flagship, so I could speak more about that. But Angelo is right that basically we have the car rally, but also socially distanced sort of march/protests. I would have to say that get involved with your local organizers, because I think that it's actually going to be an international movement. Because I know that there's Basic Income in UK, right, Angelo, and others in other countries who are trying to further the conversation about basic income. So United States is just one of the countries that's trying to make sure that we have a robust march on that day.
Yeah, we've got one that's already popped up in Canada, and we've got a bunch that are happening in Europe already signed up.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of the march is that we're not necessarily able to get together and physically march. We're not going to be able to have the mass crowds that we did last year, but we have a bunch of different options. So if you've only got a couple of people in your town that want to do this, it's perfectly fine. Like, you don't have to have this big, ginormous march. You can just have a couple of people standing on street corners over the course of a few blocks. And that is a fantastic way to do it, because it hits that message home, because people are seeing it over long periods of time. You can also do installations. So they're talking about doing art projects and things that can last beyond somebody just standing there doing a march, to represent to people what a universal basic income would do for them as a person, and for their families, and for their communities. So there's a bunch of different ways that people can get involved and do something as part of this basic income march. I put the quotes around it now, because it's expanded to a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. I think we touched on a lot, most of the things already. I want to just go through real quick and make sure I have some more, just so everybody knows exactly like what they can do each week to get involved. Did we mention the weekly national calls that you guys have at 5:30 p.m. on Sundays?
So it's 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's 5:30.
Yeah, 5:30 Pacific.
Yeah. So we've got those. We have those get live streamed on YouTube. We also post our videos from our Humanity Forward meetings on YouTube. And those
are
will
sometimes
periodically
juicy.
include Yang.
Yeah, when they include Yang, they're fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, we even clipped out part of this Monday's meeting with Yang, because it was just such a great moment. Angela was asking him about how to re-engage people, and that's when he gave us the challenge: get 3 UBI friendly people into Congress. And I think we can beat that.
So I would encourage everyone to join the Sunday calls, because even if you're not on Slack or on social media, it's actually really cool to hear sort of volunteers like you once were, or people who are still working really hard in working groups. They've basically in the Sunday call, it's an overview of everything that's happening in every working group. So you get a quick 1 hour snapshot of what the interim board's doing, like what all the working groups are doing, and kind of a teaser on like maybe some channels or groups you may want to join and help out with.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else besides like everything that we've already hit on that you would want to elaborate more on or talk about?
There are some channels that we have been featured on or have helped support, such as the Yang Gang Roundtable podcast. Some state channels like Arizona have their own podcasts. So if you really want to know what's going on at the local level, you can kind of keep an eye on their social media, because there's many ways that we are attempting to reach out to the Yang Gang that have disengaged, and hopefully remind them that we're still doing good stuff up here. And when they're ready, we're ready to welcome them back. Yenny or Elaine, you guys want to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube, is there a question, Matt? Did you want to take that?
Vaughn just asked again. We actually got back to you like a little bit ago, Vaughn, but the answer to your question is yes. They would support Republicans in favor of UBI.
And have. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that
I was going to ask you, Matt. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Should I wait?
Elaine, you're up.
Okay, all right. So I was actually going to ask you, Matt. So would you support the National Humanity First Day? Would you be one of our YouTube influencers to help us push the hashtag Humanity First Day and pledge for humanity? Doing community
100%.
service?
I'm all aboard.
That'd be wonderful.
I love the National Humanity First Days. I was like, I remember getting off the campaign trail and like just being like, dang, I want to capture like some sort of like that magic again. Like just being with so many people that you're all pursuing like this same goal and you never met each other or like knew each other beforehand. It's really powerful. And I remember getting like a DM from someone on from Baltimore Yangang. I'm here in Maryland, and Baltimore is like the big city close to us. And they were like, "Hey, would you want to go out with me and a bunch of Yangang people this weekend? Like, we're just gonna meet up and have like a little like hangout." And I was like, I couldn't because I was actually in Los Angeles at the time. But I remember saying like, "Oh, but I'd love to attend the next one, so just let me know when it is." And then all of a sudden, lockdown happened, and I just got screwed. So I'm like, I would love to see a lot of that reconnection and rekindling, because I do feel like that's one of the reasons why, besides just, you know, people aren't going to be as excited about a presidential campaign as they are like a post-presidential campaign world. But I think like COVID caused a lot of the existing like meetup groups and organizing to kind of just get shut off. And then because of the amount of time that elapsed, it never got restarted. So I'm all aboard.
Definitely put us in touch with the Baltimore group, because we are not in touch with the Baltimore group.
There was a lot of active. I was talking about this with Angelo, I think like 2 days ago. There's a lot of actually active groups here in the Maryland area. Like there's this town of like 40,000 people, maybe like an hour away from me, called Frederick. And they had these, I would always see them on the Mobilize page. Every single week they have like a big Frederick Yangang hang. And I was like, let's go. Yangang is real. Cool. So we got to bring everybody back into the fold, back into the tent, reconnect. And that's what you guys are all
I was going to say. Details I was going to say about Humanity First Day. It's going to be both in person, but also digital, right? So I know that the first one, people could take short video clips of themselves and post it onto YouTube or Reddit or Twitter or whatever, doing the hashtag, kind of showing that like, no matter where you are, you pretty much are connected, and to show people like it's not just how bad things are, but it's like we are empowered to sort of, we can take things into our own hands to make things better in a way. Like you can strengthen your community, make it brighter for yourself and your community. You know, kind of like it's not always about like tearing things down, but also we can also build things up too. So
better together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Son Watt says, oh, Son Watt, hey, how's it going? I know Son Watt. Son Watt says, just tuning in. Sorry I'm late, but OMG, hi, Elaine.
Hey, Sam. Hey. Yeah, I was a leader in Iowa City during Yang Month. What's up, Sam?
Dude? Sorry, I'm having a moment. I haven't seen.
Okay.
I haven't seen Sam since January.
Sam Bordeaux.
Yeah, we met in at Yang's Virginia rally back in like October or November, and then we met again in Iowa. So it's crazy to see like the progression, like other people that went from like just going to a rally to jumping all the way to Iowa. It's awesome.
Yeah. Sam's a cool cat.
Yeah. Okay. I think we hit like mostly everything. Your website's hfmovement.org. You're on Twitter at hfmovement. You're on Facebook and YouTube at Humanity First Movement. You have your Slack, which is a really good way to get involved. You have Discord. You have Facebook groups. Is there anything else that like people could possibly need to know? And this is the part where if any questions at all, don't be afraid to ask, because this is why these guys have agreed to come on and talk with us today to answer these questions.
Yeah, I think the only things would be I'd list the event pages, so peoplestimulus.com and basicincomemerch.com.
And bailoutthepeople.com too.
Yes, bailoutthepeople.com. We forgot to mention that one. So on bailoutthepeople.com, you can send letters to your congressman in about 5 minutes or less. It's literally, you sign on there, you fill out your information, it finds the correct people to send it to, you pick the category and your prefix for your name for some of them, and some of them require you to put there's a couple drop down fields maybe, and then it sends it out for you. You can edit it if you want to, but it has the text in there for it. It can connect you with the doing phone calls to your senators. It has information on what we're going to be pushing on different days, and that's going to be getting really beefed up as we head into the basic income march.
And just remember, if you don't know something, ask.
Getting an early start on that, huh?
Yeah.
These guys do impressions if you guys didn't know.
Is it basicincomemarch.org?
.com.
.com.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And is it bailoutthepeople.org?
.com.
Okay, I accidentally put .org.
Yeah.
Oops.
They're all .com.
Okay.
Except for us.
Okay, so it's it's hfmovement.org, and then I actually spelled it wrong. It's bailoutthepeople.com and basicincomemarch.com, as well as testifyforubi.com, and then the big site where it's all centrally located would be hfmovement.org. Angelo, are we doing it? Are we having our debate?
Oh, it's on.
Nice.
Because this is the part that we're saving till the end. Is me? Well, let's tell for the audience that doesn't know. But do you want to actually? Should we just go on? Well, that would take forever to find. If I would go on the Twitter chat and pull up the old videos, we could show them our previous debate. We could pick off right where we left off.
that might take a little too long.
Let me say one last thing before you guys jump in to your comedy sketch. I was going to say, I know it seems like a lot, but we're all volunteers here. So, I mean, you are powerful in and of yourself. And I know there's a lot going on. So I would say only do what you can, right? Even if it's trying to help out your local neighborhood or your community or your local campaigns, we would love to see you on national, obviously. But I know that a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff. So hang in there, but feel free to reach out to us because we are also interested in just talking and making sure everyone's okay, not just pushing you to continually do things, right? So I would say that's what Humanity First movement really means is we're here, we're here as an next iteration and hang in there, okay?
Yeah. I really like
that lines up with the diversity and inclusion effort with Humanity First Movement Cares, which is HFM Cares on Twitter.
And it's a mental health initiative, actually. It's called Supported by Volunteers. So what it is on Twitter, HFM Cares, is basically the diversity and inclusion team has taken it upon themselves to, if any Yang Gang or anybody wants to sort of talk about what they're going through, obviously this is not meant to replace therapy, but just as an ear for you to talk to someone. So we do have that, I guess.
I really like that. I love that that's one of the things that Andrew and this, the Yang Gang and this whole movement really embodied during the campaign was trying to shed a light on mental health issues that do have a stigma, and you're not it's not, cool to talk about when it really, it's something that everybody's going through. I love that you guys and Humanity Forward have continued that, having specific days dedicated towards mental health. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I am looking for. Oh, okay, I found it.
So for context on this, I have seen Matt be doing impressions for a while, and they're awesome. And I mentioned them to Angelo, and Angelo's like, "Mine's better." So this has become where the impression off kind of came from. How do you find out where your nearest chapter is? Go on our website, hfmovement.org. There's a whole chapters section on there that'll have you sign up. Once you sign up, we'll connect you with your local chapter or people who live near you, if there isn't one already set up. Oh, and I'm being corrected. It's HFM Cares for You on Twitter.
Sorry. Yes. Thanks for your question, Andrew.
So, Matt, did you want to?
Yeah, I do. We're having more questions come in. I want to make sure we got to answer them,
Yeah.
and then we'll move into the fun stuff. Well, it's all fun. Is there a
So
policy?
Oh, sorry.
I was going to read the question. Is there a policy platform, arm of the movement?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have a channel dedicated to this exact issue where we have everyone working on policies and things of that nature. Interestingly enough, we also have a channel that's dedicated to the American scorecard, which was one of the things that Andrew talked about a lot on the campaign trail. We're actually trying to design it and get it ready for rollout.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We've also got UBI channels and a whole bunch of other channels in there that are in the issues and policy channels. So if there's a particular issue or policy that speaks to you, you can jump in on that one, or you can get involved with the policies in general. We're really hoping to beef that up going forward. Right now, it's taken a little bit of a backseat as we're doing our organizing, but hey now. We're trying to get those channels to get started, and the hope with them is to eventually create policy proposals for candidates to be able to take on as part of their platform. Because one of the things that we hear from campaigns is that one of the things that takes them so long to get on board with different policies is figuring out how to write out the policy for their websites and how to talk about it. So this is kind of also trying to build a library that candidates can use to further the movement.
And for any of you out there that are thinking of becoming a candidate, first and foremost, please get a press kit.
That's everyone ignore that. It's Angelo being petty. Just kidding.
No, that's like one of
they're
the
very important
things that any campaign should ever have.
Yeah. Okay. So back on this this impression contest. So how this started was Monday at 1:36 in the morning. Angelo types in a group chat. On a side note, Yenny has suggested me and at Zach and Matt show have an impression off Trump versus Bernie, and I said, "Let's go right now. I'll own you, bro." And then I posted a video, and then we started having a war of videos in this group chat.
You want to?
And we're gonna show them all. Yeah, I am. I gotta learn. I'm bad at like screen sharing and stuff like while I'm live.
Yeah, I looked absolutely awful in those videos, but if you can throw the audio up, that'd be great.
I'm a newbie, so I want to see this.
Dude, it's not about how you look; it's about how you sound.
Crazy Bernie's trying to turn our great country into a wasteland, just like Venezuela where they eat dogs. It's not gonna happen, not on my watch. Set.
All right, and then Angelo followed up.
Donald Trump is against public health care. If anyone needs public health care, it is Donald Trump.
Weak. So I said Angelo made Trump mad and posted this video.
Crazy Bernie, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know where you are. Wait, no, I used that one for Biden. Sorry. Wrong guy. You just had a heart attack last fall. We did not forget heart attack, Bernie. Heart attack.
Damn, Matt.
I knew everything about healthcare. You know nothing about healthcare. Best at healthcare. Worst at healthcare. Said.
Okay, and then Angelo
Understands everything about healthcare. My opponent says that he understands everything about healthcare. Yet, when it came to a global pandemic that every other country has figured out, he managed to drop the ball. I wrote the bill on healthcare. Well, he wrote a check to McDonald's.
I think that. Oh,
That's right. I wrote a big, beautiful check, possibly the largest check ever in history to McDonald's. It's a great American company. It's as great as Goya beans, big, beautiful, tremendous beans. I didn't fail in coronavirus. It was the China virus. China caused the virus. I closed down the borders. crazy, sleepy, creepy, sleepy, just sloppy Joe Biden, he would have wanted to open the borders and close the borders. Bye, Goya.
This is even better when I'm actually awake.
Oh my god.
And that's where it left off. Who won?
So I believe it's Angelo's response.
Okay.
Ah,
Bagoya.
All right.
improv time.
So, my opponent is running this country the way he ran his casinos. The house always loses, and everyone loses their jobs.
Nobody lost their jobs. The only people that are going to lose their jobs are under your crazy communist regime. You see, nobody's going to lose their jobs. I ran the best casinos. I had the best casinos. Everybody flocked to Atlantic City from around the world. The casinos, they're the best ever now. Why they no longer exist, I don't know. But some bad bankruptcy, not my problem. Not my problem.
Dude, you got me. I had no response. I had to make up something.
That was good.
Oh my gosh. The hidden talents of the Yang Gang.
The jobs bill is everyone's problem. I have a plan for that. It is called a federal jobs guarantee. Well, the only thing Trump is guaranteed is to say more crazy stuff on Twitter at 3 in the morning. And Trump, I gotta ask, why is it always 3 in the morning?
Looking at foreign business news.
I have one of the most biggest prestigious brains ever in the history. I don't need sleep. I sleep only 2 to 3 hours of night. Bernie, if you were president, you wouldn't be able to keep up with anything. You'd be asleep all day, asleep behind the wheel. America would go crashing sideways, off the road, off gone. And you, with your federal jobs guarantee, nobody wants to work for your communist government. We don't want to end up like Venezuela, okay? Yeah, I'll eat dogs, okay?
So, what you're telling me is getting only 3 hours of sleep is why you talk like that. That explains a lot, actually. That explains a lot.
You know, Bernie, this is ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about this. You talk about how terrible of a president I am, but in fact, I got a call from the Ukrainian prime minister, and it was a totally perfect phone call. Read the transcripts. Anyway, he said that I may possibly be a better president than both Lincoln and Washington combined, said.
Well, I can say something about Lincoln and Washington. I served under them. And I can tell you now, no Washington. That's for sure. And you definitely could not hold a candle to Lincoln. Now, maybe your heart might resemble the Lincoln Memorial and that it's made completely out of stone. But that is for the audience to decide.
Bernie, you've been in government ever since before Washington even was alive, and nothing has changed. Nothing. You haven't done anything. You've been wildly unsuccessful. You've done nothing. Many years. I accomplished more in 4 years than any president has accomplished ever. Maybe more than every president combined. More. The best.
You accomplished one thing, and I'll give you this. You have managed to actually lose ratings with a captive audience, with the world's worst, and I'd like to stress this, worst reality TV show ever made.
All right, Bernie, you can have the presidency. I give up.
Especially since there's going to be UFOs coming down soon. Did you guys see that? The Pentagon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
2020.
saw that's the next chapter on this wonderful year.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, if there were aliens, we'd know. I don't think Trump could keep that a secret.
Actually, it was just released recently, footage from an F-16.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well,
maybe
UFOs are.
secrets from Trump.
There's no dispute that UFOs are real. The dispute is what are the UFOs? You know,
Yeah.
are they aliens or are they something else? So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
test aircrafts. A lot of.
I'll make the
there's
case.
things.
I'll make the case that we should keep Earth as a preserve and/or resort planet, so they don't off us. We have a lot of biological and ecological diversity, so we're valuable.
No, Angela's squarely in the Yang camp.
Yeah, I was actually one of the ones that fought mostly with the Bernie Bros during the campaign, but I was given the illustrious title of Burner Whisperer because I'd get into arguments, they'd block me, and then a week later I'd see them unblock me and they had a math hat next to their name.
well, that's how you do it.
I don't know, maybe it was all my phone calls where I called them afterward. I was like, I am asking you to endorse Andrew Yang.
When am I streaming next on Twitch? When something exciting happens that's worth streaming for, like Andrew announcing his 2024 run. That's kind of a joke. Anyways, I appreciate you guys coming on as the Humanity First movement, because I know that you guys, like I mentioned earlier, you're already putting in like, and again, this is just you guys on the board, the ultimate crazy people, not just for everybody watching that just wants to get involved, but you guys personally are putting in like 40 hours a week. So like on behalf of, you know, everybody who wants to see that these goals and policies, UBI, all that move forward. Thank you for everything you guys are doing. And I would love for everybody out there watching to get involved. The website's hfmovement.org. You too can participate in late night conversations where you pretend to be Bernie and Trump with your new Yang Gang friends that you make, and we can change the country together. So
Yeah. Be sure to check the board out on Twitter as well. I'm Yenny JB. Elaine said hers before, and I just, you two say yours.
And I am at Hellion Hellfire on Twitter. It's an old stage name.
Yeah, at Elaine J. Way, WEY.
Awesome. So this was the Humanity First board movement. I hope you guys all have a good weekend, and thank you